Hello there, dear loves. Dana here, otherwise known as Dana Spirit Butterfly. Doing our monthly energy forecast as we've been doing for quite some time, and of course just to acknowledge that when I say we, these energy forecasts aren't just me talking. I align my energetic, my sensory awareness basically with consciousness that's beyond my own, in order to be of support to those who are willing to listen and find these types of channeled messages supportive. Now, it's not up to me to tell you what that looks like or how that meets you. What matters is that you find it of relevance to you and that it might help you feel more aligned and balanced within your own system. Nobody external to you can tell you what that looks like or how that feels. So before I go any further, I just want to acknowledge that today I'm on Wungal land, so I pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, recognising that sovereignty was never ceded. I'm across the harbour, in Sydney Harbour, to Gadigal country. And so I do this acknowledgement of country as a part of my own recognition of the fact that I am here channeling in Australia, and I also tend to align my own energetic with land spirit and land energy. And that's because, like it or not, you have a physical body. We all have a physical body. And as we navigate ourselves spiritually, we are also in collaboration and concert with others, with another energy. And that other energy is typically represented by the land we are physically standing on. And there is a conversation that goes on between us and them, us and external others. Of course, we can frame it that way. If you dive a little bit more further into your own consciousness, into collective field, what I call collective field, you'll get a better sense of this belonging, of this satisfactory landing point where you can and indeed will find yourself in a space of acknowledgement and thus power when you see yourself as also interwoven into a collective grid. And we are connected to a lot of collective grids, but the most obvious one is, of course, the geology that is represented by your own body mass and the cellular DNA and the communities of organisms and cellular happenings within your own physical body. And the next step is to acknowledge that you are also impacted by the surrounds that you're in, the environment that you're in, and you impact that environment also. The two is true. We are never fully in receivership and fully in, things being done to us. We are also never fully doing and acting without there being some dialogue or story that places us in space and time to that point. And so with that, I just want to also acknowledge that this video is not my usual style of video, obviously, because this is just not the way I usually do my videos, but it is to cover the time period that is represented by the lunar cycle. And why the lunar cycle? Well, the lunar cycle is one of the astral bodies, one of the masses of power that impact us in our environment, and it is cyclic in nature. And as we start to stretch ourselves to step out of the masculine patriarchal paradigms that are very obvious and have been creating structures and form for us for quite some time, i.e. the way that you live your life and your lifestyle, and the way that you're educated and the way that you spend money, and etc., and stretch a little bit more into what is called the sacred feminine rising, which is this power of energy that moves through us. It's always been here anyway, but that we are all slowly, subtly, hopefully starting to become better acquainted with. And as I land acquainted with, it's actually true for so many of us, particularly if you identify as woman, that we have been educated to dress particular ways, to express ourselves in particular ways, and to act towards others in particular ways. And if you have curiosities around how to navigate your way in and through that dialogue to feel a stronger sense of independence and a stronger sense of your own personal voice, I also offer rose initiation work, which is the first step towards starting to reclaim some of your own landscape and to get better acquainted with how you're designed and how to navigate your reality in a way that, you know, we said before about the community consciousness, about feeling yourself as a part of your community and not necessarily just isolated or suppressed or alone all the time. And as I land on alone all the time, I can't tell you how many individuals I read for whose main theme comes up and through the act of me reading for them, reading their energetic presence and what's going on in their lives, where loneliness and feeling the sadness of being left behind or of feeling like somehow the support isn't there. The relationships aren't there to feel supported and to feel met in life. And this type of a dialogue is not uncommon with most of us. It's just that so few people openly and actively talk about it, because often when we bring these themes into social spaces, there's a certain amount of shaming that goes on. There's a certain amount of highlighting of how heavy or, you know, overly emotional you might be. And those types of feeling senses and expressions don't really serve us, in so much as if we have no space to be able to acknowledge that this is the feeling I'm having and this is the experience that I'm having, and I'm feeling isolated and I'm feeling suppressed and I'm feeling like there is genuinely no space out in community within my families or friendship groups for me to put myself in the community that I'm in. And these types of themes are not that uncommon even with popular people, and they are worthy of going deeper with this as a conversation. And so if that's something that you would like, then please check out my work, www.danaspiritbutterfly, that's D-A-N-A spiritbutterfly.com, and I encourage you to book a reading, which I can do online if you are not in the Northern Rivers, which is where I'm usually living. But I'm also travelling a lot over the next few months between Sydney and Melbourne, and we may even make it to Canberra. So if you feel like you'd like an in-person session, then please reach out and we may be able to navigate something when I'm in those cities. So anyway, that's just a little bit of promo out of the way. Continuing this dialogue now. This dialogue specifically is to cover the lunar cycle that starts on the 6th of June. And the 6th of June, we do start with a new moon in Gemini. The full moon apex is on the 22nd of June. Now, you know, it may be a little bit earlier depending on which part of the world you're in, because I know some of you are actually states-based and do live in places outside of Australia. So it may be on the 21st of the 6th of June. And it ends on the 6th of July or the 5th of July if you're somewhere else geographically located. So that's the month that we're essentially giving some energetic awareness around. And the full moon, just to declare, the full moon is in Capricorn, and the new moon in July is one in Cancer. Now, again, so many people get a bit turned off by the whole astrology thing. Please don't. I just wanted to declare that I don't necessarily use astrology as a guidance for what it is that I do, but these things offer some structure for conversations. And it is true that all of us have these energies within us, inside of our expression. You know, just like as humans, as womans, we have the full scope of energetic expression available to us. So all of us can get angry, all of us can get sad, all of us can feel shame. All of us are in these dialogues of emotional awareness as humans, because it is an important part of us being able to relate and be in relationship with others. And so as I land on relationships, this is just a part of the channel, is to emphasize that relationships lately, for some of you, have experienced what some might call an upgrade. Now, an upgrade, again, please don't get turned off by these terminologies. They symbolize particular things, but an upgrade is an action where the energetic presences that are around you start to show you new things, allowing you to stretch or reach for something new or something broader than what you may have had the experience of in the past. And so when we say upgrade, relationships have had an upgrade, there's been a massive movement towards reflecting that true relationships and being in relationship actually isn't a superficial dialogue of ticking boxes and just moving towards fairy tales. True relationship is a meeting point between two, Spirit just gave me the word fixed, but okay, we'll just use fixed for now, two fixed locations. So you might have person A over there, and 100 meters you might have person B over there. And in between that space is a relativity matrix. So there might be parts of those two individuals that relate to each other and that have shared common interests. But between that 100 meters may also be some aspects of self that misalign and that may not fully resonate. And this is the secret to living. The secret to living is not to solely move towards that which resonates, although knowing where resonance lies is important. What is more important is understanding the nature of the technology that you wield, the nature of the inheritance that you have. So how do you love? Who taught you how to love? When you love this particular man over this particular man, what aspect of you seems to stand forwards and wants a conversation? Because it'll be a different part of you with different men or women, whatever, doesn't matter. They're all relating in relationships. For me personally, I also dialogue a lot with trees and animals, and I find that even there are points of meeting where even though they are different species to me, there are commonalities. For example, if I want to attune my energy to a tree and open up a dialogue to a tree, then the tree will probably remind me of how ungrounded I can be, and it will offer a remembering within my cellular DNA as to how to stand still and be present with what is here. Why? Because as singular identified beings with an ego, so I happen to be Dana, you happen to be you, and the tree happens to be whatever tree I'm dialoguing with. At the moment today I'm sitting under your eucalyptus, so let me just acknowledge the spirit of eucalyptus as one of my main allies. Really love my eucalyptus trees, particularly here in Sydney. They're definitely really beautiful trees. I digress. But as I tune in to the trees, there's, again, the 100 meters of separation. There's that part of us that doesn't really have anything to do with each other, but then there's all those commonalities. And it is quite common when we're in conversation with something, the first thing that you may notice are your commonalities, or conversely, if you're feeling a lot of resistance towards a person, a thing, or a topic, you may experience resistance that will show you all the things that you've convinced yourself is not you and doesn't align with you. Now, Spirit's reminding me, these are conversations and dialogues. They're not supposed to be predicators of fixed realities, because ultimately, even though we use the term fixed before in terms of reference of people, the tree, for example, is in a fixed location and has, a limited scope to evolve in some ways, but also the tree is uniquely situated compared to other trees with different types of light and different levels of rain and different volumes of community nearby. So a tree might be standing alone in a field, or a tree might be surrounded by a whole lot of other trees who are also like the tree, or maybe competitive trees. And so too with humans, with also animals and plants, right? We are all a part of a community, and where we are situated in fixed location does impact the expression that we have. And so it's of service to us personally, because sovereignty is a thing and really important, especially in relationships, is to know thyself, is to journey with the fixed aspects of you while also being open to stretching, to evolution and to change. And so this month moving forwards, we mentioned before that so far we've been upgrading with relational wisdom. This has been true for all of us, whether or not you've been feeling that personally or not. Relationships can also be the relationships in the mind that we map chronically. So you may not have seen your mother for months, but your mind carries a picture of her, and as you think about her, it will continue some dialogue which may shape or change or evolve the relationship, even if it's just at the level of your mind. And so moving forwards, we do have a new moon in Gemini, and Gemini, otherwise known as the twins, is an element of indecision. It's also an element of socialization. And so Geminis do tend to be the type that like a lot of stimulation, and they like a lot of evolution through the guise of relating to others. And so this cycle, you can expect a continuation of your relationship paradigms to change. Spirit is also reminding me that between the new moon and the full moon on the 22nd of June, we actually have the solstices. And the solstices, if you are living in an apartment building and you go straight to the office and you're in fluorescent lights, and if you're always in spaces where there's a lot of artificial lights and stimulation and TV and screens and what have you, then you're less likely to feel a shift or change in reference to the seasons. And I want to say to you, if that is you, please do yourself a favour and make sure you get outside once a day, find yourself a nice tree, take your shoes off and connecting with the earth. Start to return back to natural light. When you do turn back to natural light, you will align better with the cyclic nature of the seasons, and thus you tend to do better with community-based conversations because you're in concert then with the land. You're in concert then with the community that is around you, that just doesn't involve humans. It also involves the animals and the plants and the trees, because these are too a part of our ecology. And as you do that, your spiritual wisdom will grow, and your available aha moments to help yourself out of stuck and sticky situations actually improves. And so where you do that, you will notice that when the solstices come up, and the solstices, for the record, if you don't know what the solstices are, they talk about the relationship that the earth has with the sun and where you are geographically located. So for example, here in Australia, in the southern hemisphere, we are heading into the winter solstice, otherwise known as Yule, on the 21st of June. And in the northern hemisphere, you guys are heading towards Litha, which is otherwise known as the summer solstice. And the summer solstice is where the most available light is seen, or the longest day is available for you to enjoy. So that means that you've got more daylight in the day across a 24-hour period than you do darkness. Here in the southern hemisphere, we have the opposite. So we have the shortest day of the year. So we have the least amount of solar light available for us to dialogue with. And during that period of time, there's always a delay as to how this impacts on our system, because for summer solstice, for example, your energy will just be starting to expand. The more light that's in the field, the more awake you are, the more alert you are, the more melatonin and serotonin will balance your hemispheres so that you do start to feel elated and more available for socialization and for getting out and about and being with the earth and nature. In the southern hemisphere, the opposite happens. So we have a lower amount of light, so we will feel more depressed, maybe a little bit more slow, a little bit more introspective. Of course, if you've never dialogued with your own mental wellness, then you will maybe not understand how to be with your shadow aspects or the parts of you that you don't like or that feel a little bit lower, and be okay with those things. This is actually a part of an initiation rite of being human, is being able to acknowledge that sometimes the energy that moves through you is to your disadvantage for a period of time. And in alignment with the cyclic nature, the sacred feminine rising, that part of us that knows that we are not always on all the time, we're not always supposed to be in yang style masculine presencing, there's a balance that is to be struck. And these balances in terms of our lifestyle choices actually impact our hormonal regulation and our ability to be and feel safe and well in our systems. So solstices are a period of time where, if you're in the southern hemisphere, energy lower, feeling a little bit colder, feeling a little bit more like you need to nurture and take care of yourself, it's a perfect time to flick that switch of, I'm going to prioritize me and I'm going to prioritize my home, feeling well and safe at home. And you'll find that if you do that for this month and start to really honor and acknowledge your own seasons and how you flow day to day, creating space to be okay with not being okay or being okay or whatever it is that arises, this is an ideal time for you to do that. And as you do that, you'll find that you'll move into the next phase or cycle with some energy that is supportive, nurturing, and available for you to move forwards into whatever it is that starts to flow from there. In the northern hemisphere, it might be a slightly different storyline. So this might be a period where things start to speed up and you start to get more excited, or you may feel the pressure to be social if you haven't been diligent with self-care across the last few months. And so this is the time, again, just to be with self and to listen and to make sure that you're honoring that which shows up for you. Because ultimately, this is what we should be doing anyway, but so few of us actually have dedicated space and time to honor the cycles, honor the seasons, honor the growth, honor the need for us to be alone sometimes. And so with that, I want to say, please enjoy this moon cycle. Do stay open and allow the new light to move through you if you're in the northern hemisphere. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, don't be afraid to go outside even if it's cold. As soon as you sit in wherever there is available sunlight, your cellular DNA will recharge. You will start to feel a lot more aha moments and awarenesses of how you're doing and what is available for you. And from there comes usually a sense of, actually it's not that bad. And, you'll be able to ride waves much better, which is what we're in the business of. Spiritual development is about creating safe spaces to be able to dialogue with deeper things, to be able to open up doors to the discomfort of life so that we can find more flow within our energy systems and reclaim our own bodies, minds, spirits to be well. And so with that, wrap this video up. Thank you for listening. I hope that it's supported you in some way, shape or form. Feel free to share with me if you have any epiphanies that have occurred. You're welcome to comment, of course, on this video. But also, I'd also like to let you know that if you're interested in psychic development, I have a new cycle of my 5-week online The Claire's Journey, which is an initiation program for people who maybe are curious about psychic skills and haven't actually done any diving with that. It's an online self-based program, but we're starting a new group together because we often do run them together where everybody does their own thing at their own time, but like at the same time. So if that interests you, if you're just curious about that, then please check out my Patreon page where I have now all my online work and courses, still developing, of course, but the Claire's will start on the 10th of June, which is next Monday. So please look up that. I will, of course, provide links on all my social media, and there'll be information there. You can check out my website, of course, but just check out Patreon, which is patreon.com. Patreon, eon.com/Dana Spirit Butterfly. I'd appreciate it if you can check out my work, and if it supports and serves you, then awesome. I would love to support you to cultivate greater psychic awareness and thus open up more potential for your evolution and personal power. So much love from Dana, from Sydney. Until our next time, friends, be well, take care. See you.